The last time I spoke to my college roommate, he said, "Thanks for letting me crash here one last time." I didn't ask what he meant by last, and now I can't shake the feeling that he was saying goodbye to more than just the apartment. We met freshman year at UMass Amherst. His name was Aaron. He showed up to our dorm with nothing but 2 duffel bags and a guitar he didn't know how to play. We were paired randomly, but it worked. We weren't alike. He was loud, a little messy, always chasing something that didn't have a name. I was quieter, more practical, kept to myself. But somehow we became close. He brought life to the room. I brought stability. For 4 years, we were always in each other's lives. We lived together off campus our junior and senior years. Shared groceries, fought about dishes, pulled each other through heartbreak and bad grades. Then we graduated. I stayed in Massachusetts. Got a job in Worcester working IT for a trucking company. Aaron said he was headed to Austin to figure things out. That was the last time I saw him until 3 weeks ago. It started with a simple text. Aaron, 9:03 p.m. Hey man, any chance I can crash at your place for a few days? In town unexpectedly. No explanation. No follow-up. Just that. I stared at it for a few minutes before replying. Me, 9:07 p.m. Yeah, of course. Got a futon with your name on it. He showed up 2 days later, on a Tuesday night, around 10 p.m. Same old Aaron, in a way. Same crooked grin. Same slouchy posture like the world was too heavy for his shoulders. But there was something different, too. He looked tired. Not just physically, but like something in him had been ground down. He only had a backpack. No suitcase. No gear. That struck me as odd. We stayed up that first night talking. I offered him a beer, and we sat on the couch like it was senior year again. I asked what he'd been doing. He was vague. Trying things, he said. Some gigs, some people, some stuff. He laughed like he was brushing it off, but there was a weight behind his words. I asked if he was still in Austin. No, he said, and didn't explain further. Just changed the subject. Asked about me. I told him I was still working IT, still in the same apartment. I mentioned Rachel, my ex, and how we broke up 6 months ago. He said she never seemed right for you anyway and nodded like he knew something I didn't. He seemed restless even as we talked. Kept looking out the window. Checked his phone a lot, but it never buzzed. He slept on the futon that night, didn't even ask for a blanket. The next day, he left early in the morning and didn't say where he was going. Came back late after 11 p.m. Didn't talk much. Just said thanks when I handed him a sandwich. Ate it quietly, then stepped out onto the balcony with a beer. He stood out there for almost 2 hours. I could see him through the glass, just leaning on the railing, looking out at nothing. When he came back in, he looked at me and said, "Thanks for letting me crash here one last time." I looked up from the couch. One last time. He smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that makes you feel warm. It was the kind of smile you give when you know something the other person doesn't. Then he walked into the bathroom and shut the door. I waited, thinking he might say more when he came out. He didn't. He went to sleep without another word. And in the morning, he was gone. No goodbye. Just a note on the kitchen counter. "Take care of yourself, man." That was it. At first, I figured he was just being dramatic. Maybe he had somewhere else to be. Maybe he was on the run from a bad relationship or job. But as the days passed, I couldn't shake what he said. One last time. It started to echo in my head. What did he mean? 3 weeks passed. I tried calling him once. It went straight to voicemail. His number was still the same, but he never answered. I checked social media. His Instagram was deleted. Facebook inactive. No posts, no stories, no tags. And then yesterday I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't pick up, but I did. A woman's voice. Shaky. Nervous. She said, "Is this Nate? Aaron's old roommate?" I froze. "Yeah. Who's this?" She paused. I could hear her breathing. Then she said, "I think we need to talk. It's about Aaron, and what he might have left with you." I asked her who she was. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she said, "Did he leave anything behind? A bag, a flash drive, anything?" "No," I said. "Just a note." "Why?" Her voice cracked a little. "He's missing, Nate. Nobody's heard from him in almost a month. Not even his sister." That hit me hard. I thought maybe he was just off the grid, I said, trying to make sense of it. She didn't say anything for a second. Then she asked, "Can I come see you?" "I'll explain everything. It's better if I show you." I hesitated. Something about her tone didn't sit right, but she sounded scared. And if Aaron was really missing, I needed to know what was going on. "Yeah," I said. "I'm home all night." She showed up an hour later. Her name was Jordan. Early 30s, thin, looked like she hadn't slept in days. She came in holding a worn-out leather folder like it was something sacred. "I met Aaron in Austin," she said. "We worked together at this data recovery company. He was smart, really smart. But he got in deep with something. Something big." "Like what?" I asked. She opened the folder. Inside were printed screenshots of emails, server logs, and one photo. It was grainy, looked like it had been taken with an old phone. Aaron, sitting at a laptop in a dark room. Behind him, on the wall, was a huge whiteboard covered in names, phone numbers, and a few company logos I recognized. One of them was from the logistics company I worked for. "This looks fake," I said. "I wish it was," she replied. "Aaron found something. Something about your company. He said it was bad. He was going to blow the whistle, but he needed a safe place to hide. That's why he came to you." I stared at her. "He never said a word about this," I told her. "Of course not," she said. "He didn't trust anyone fully. Not even me. But he said you were the only person he could go to that wouldn't ask too many questions." My stomach turned. "What did he find?" She hesitated again, then said, "He found records. Shipping records that don't make sense. Patterns that look like cover-ups. And a connection to a missing persons case in Texas." That's when I started to feel cold all over. "I work in IT," I said. "I have access to our back-end systems." Jordan looked at me, dead serious. "Then you're the only one who can finish what he started." I didn't respond right away. I sat there, thinking about that night on the balcony. About the way Aaron said one last time. She reached into her coat and pulled out a flash drive. "He told me if anything happened to him, to get this to you. He said you'd know what to do." I took it with a shaking hand. "Just don't plug it into your work laptop," she added. "He said they'd be watching." I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on my couch with the flash drive in my hand, staring at it like it might explode. I kept hearing Aaron's voice in my head. One last time. Like he knew this was going to happen. I waited until morning. Called in sick to work. I didn't want to risk using anything from the company. I pulled out my old personal laptop, the one I hadn't touched in months, and disconnected it from Wi-Fi. Paranoid? Maybe. But Aaron wasn't a paranoid guy. If he was acting like this, something had to be real. I opened the drive. Inside was a folder named Silent Load. Inside that were documents, logs, and a text file labeled. I clicked it. "Nate, if you're reading this, something went wrong. The company you work for is running more than logistics. They're moving people, disguising it through phantom shipments, pallets that never show up, or ones that don't make sense on paper." I traced one shipment to a warehouse in Laredo. A week later, that warehouse burned down. 2 men I talked to about it disappeared. There's something bigger going on. And I think someone inside your branch knows. I didn't tell you before because I didn't want to drag you into it. But now I don't have a choice. Be careful who you trust. Aaron and I just sat there stunned. I worked with those shipping systems every day. I'd seen errors, missing data. I always chalked it up to bad software or lazy data entry. But now I wasn't so sure. That day, I checked our company server from a cafe on my phone's VPN. Looked up some of the shipment IDs Aaron had flagged. They were there, but they were wrong. Same ID used in different cities, dates that didn't line up, drivers that didn't exist in our payroll system. Something was off. And Aaron knew it. That's when I noticed something strange. My own employee profile had been accessed 5 times in the last 48 hours. That wasn't normal. IT has logs. Nobody should be looking at my profile unless there's a problem. Then the kicker, when I checked my voicemail at work remotely, there was a message I didn't remember seeing before. From a number inside the company. A man's voice, calm but cold. "Nate, let's not get curious. You had a visitor last night. That was a mistake. You've got one chance to stay out of this. Do the smart thing." I stared at my phone. How did they know about Jordan? How did they know she came? I called her right away. No answer. I tried 3 times. Nothing. That night, I drove to the cheap motel where she said she was staying. Room 12. I knocked. No one answered. I peeked through the curtains. The room was torn apart. Sheets ripped off, drawers dumped out, broken glass on the carpet. She was gone. And that folder she brought? It wasn't in the trash, wasn't in the room. It was like someone came in looking for something, and maybe found it. That's when I knew I couldn't go to the cops. Not yet. Not until I knew exactly what I was dealing with. I went home, locked my doors, sat down with that flash drive again, and I made a copy. Whatever Aaron found, someone wanted it buried. And now they thought I had it. They were right. I didn't sleep that night either. I just sat at my desk watching the copy bar fill as I backed up Aaron's files to a hidden drive. I knew I had to move fast. Whatever this was, I was already in it. The next morning, I drove to Boston and met with someone I trusted. Carla, a systems analyst I used to work with before she left the company. She'd quit after a quiet internal scandal, something she was never allowed to talk about. She looked surprised to see me. "You look like hell," she said. "I'm in trouble," I told her. "Real trouble." I showed her the files. Her face changed fast. She recognized some of the data markers, even pointed out a few things I missed. Old warehouse codes tied to offshore shipments, flagged employee IDs linked to terminated staff who were never officially removed from the system. "They're using dead records," she said, "to move things or people under the radar." Then she leaned in. "This is trafficking." My stomach turned. She helped me dig deeper. And we found a pattern. My branch, Worcester, was being used to scrub and reroute bad data. Someone higher up was manipulating it. But they needed a middleman in IT. Someone who could quietly adjust logs, shift timestamps, hide mistakes. Then I realized that someone was me. Not on purpose. But for months I'd been approving those little changes, believing the reasons I was told. Data cleanups. Old record syncing. I'd been a cog in the wheel. That crushed me. I wanted to go to the police. Carla stopped me. "Not yet," she said. "They have people everywhere. You need leverage. You need to burn it all down at once." So we planned. I spent the next 3 days setting up a full trace. I built a timeline of every altered shipment ID, every fake driver, every phantom warehouse tied to our systems. I tied it all together with Aaron's files. Then I copied the entire packet onto 4 USBs. One went to Carla. One I mailed to a news station anonymously. One I left in a safety deposit box. And the last one, that one I kept. Then I walked into my boss's office. His name was Craig. Senior operations lead. Been there for years. Always acted like a friend. Gave me career advice, bought me lunch. I had trusted him. I closed the door behind me. "Something wrong?" he asked. "You tell me," I said. "How long have you been laundering human lives through this company?" He blinked. Didn't speak. So I tossed the USB on his desk. "I know everything. And so will a dozen reporters if I don't check in every 12 hours. His smile died. "I hope you understand what you're doing," he said, voice calm but dangerous. "You won't come out of this clean." "I'm already dirty," I said. "Thanks to you." He stood up like he might threaten me. I didn't flinch. "I'm not scared of you anymore." I turned and walked out. That night, the police raided a warehouse in New Haven. One tied to our system logs. 8 undocumented workers were found locked in a storage room. 2 of them were missing teens from Texas. The news hit fast and hard. My company's name was all over the headlines by morning. Craig was arrested. So were 4 others. It wasn't over, but it was starting. A week later, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Aaron's voice. "Hey, Nate. I didn't think you'd actually go through with it. But I'm proud of you. I couldn't finish it. Not without putting everyone I cared about in danger. You took the hit. That matters. I can't come back yet. Maybe not ever. But you did good, man. You did real good." I sat there for a long time after that. Just thinking. About how easy it was to be used without knowing. About how I almost ignored the warning. And about how Aaron's one last time wasn't about crashing on my couch. It was about saying goodbye to his old life and trusting me to make sure it meant something. I did. And I'll never forget it.